On the last page of the section 1-2 notes for AP statistics, we were looking at how to create a histogram for a set of quantitative data. But one of the things that actually I commented on is that histograms are used very often when you have a large set of data. Well, taking the time to create your classes and make your tallies and your frequencies, it will be super time consuming if you have a large n size. We only had an n size of 20 here. Now, even with technology, whether you have a calculator or a computer, putting the data in can take a while if you have a large n size, but it's still faster on a calculator or a computer if you have access. So I'm going to show people with an 84 how to make a histogram. Now, I cleared the memory out of my calculator. You can either do that, or at the very least, if you press second and then the plus sign for memory, there's an option for clear lists. So if you have any old data in your columns, if you press 4, enter, it's wiped out. So when I press stat and option 1 for edit, all my columns are empty. So I am ready to start entering my data. Now, don't make the mistake that I see people do year after year. They'll put this data in column 1, they'll put this data in column 2. This is all one data set. I set it up with 10 rows and 2 columns because that fit on my paper. I could have done a 5x4. Okay, this is all one data set. You can just put it all in. So I'm going to enter 1.45, 1.25, and so on. And be careful that you enter the data correctly, because one wrong digit or one wrong decimal point, and it could affect the look of your graph. Now, I will tell you, if it's just a minor typo, it's not a big deal. But if you typed in 30.9 instead of 3.09, yeah, that's going to be a big deal. So I'm entering all my data while I'm talking, which is risky. But what I'm going to do before I'm done is I'm going to kind of go back and scan through it and see if it looks about right. All right, so there's my last number. I'm on row 20. When I press enter, I land on row 21, which is where I should be, because there should be 20 values above that. And like I said, I kind of do a quick scan through and I make sure that my data looks good. And I think I'm good on all this stuff. Notice how the calculator, even though I typed in 2.00, it won't keep the decimals. Whatever. Okay, we're good. All right, so I'm going to quit out of there. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do is go to your y equals. You're going to want to make sure you don't have any equations in here, which I don't. If you do, clear them out. But I don't, so I'll quit out of there. And I actually want to go up to stat plot. So second y equals. And you'll notice they all say off. Well, okay, we're going to choose option 1. And we're going to hit enter, and we just turned it on. All right, so here's our types of graphs. We can make scatter plots. Nope. We can make line plots. Nope. Histograms. That's what we want. So we're going to go over and highlight that and press enter. The next row is saying, where's your data? Well, I entered my data in L1. But if your data was in any other list, you have 6 lists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could change that. But I want list 1, so I'm fine. All that looks good. So I do second quit. And what you're going to do to make this graph, press zoom, and you're going to do option 9, zoom stat. So what the calculator does now, when you do zoom stat, it knows to look at the numbers in your list, and it's going to choose a scale that fits your data. And there's your histogram right there. Now, here's the thing. People are like, oh my gosh, it's so easy. Why did you make us graph it by hand? Well, if you had to draw a histogram on the AP exam, you will have your calculator, but then you're going to have to know how to copy that onto your paper. So what we're going to have to look at here is, first of all, let's look at these frequencies. So hit your trace button. All right, there we go. Oh, we can see a bunch of stuff here. So n equals 4. So just like that bar was 4, that's good. Hit your right arrow. Oh, that bar is 9 on their graph. We only had 7. Then they have 4 again. Then they have 2. then they have 0, then they have 1. So it's a little bit different than the one we made because their scale was different. All right, so I'm going to arrow back to the very beginning. Let's take a look at the scale. What you want to look at is down here, right here. Minimum 0.52, maximum 1.186. All right, so if I were to draw their graph, and I'm just going to pull up some scrap paper to do this, their graph would look like this. That bar goes from 0.52 up to 1.186. Now notice it says less than that, not equal to that. Because now when I go to the next one, now the next one starts at 1.186 and goes up to 1.852. Arrow over. This one starts at 1.852 and goes up to 2.518. It's that left end inclusion rule again. So you literally just arrow to the right and you keep adding tick marks. So the next one's going to be 3.184. And then it goes up to 3.85. And then the last one goes up to 4.516. And that maximum bar, again, was a 9. So I'm going to set my scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's my frequency. This was cost for the card. It was greeting cards, if you remember. And now I'm going to look again and say, okay, the first bar is 4. The second bar is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The next bar is also 4. The next bar is 2. Then there's a gap. And then we have a bar of only 1. So, is their graph exactly the same as the one that we came up with by hand? No. Does it show the same general look? Yeah, it does. I see that most of the cards were in between $1.19 and $1.85. And there were a couple of really expensive, or in this case, only one super expensive one. Okay. It's a little bit different, but not crazy different. Okay. Now, if you want to change your scale, you can do that. You could go to your window and say, these numbers are stupid. I want to go starting at 50 cents. I want to go up to $4 and I want to scale it by 50 cents. And I want the Y value to go from 0 up to 10 and go by ones. Okay. Now you have the exact same graph that we had on our paper. Okay. So you can adjust things on the calculator, or you can just let the calculator make its own. Did I miss it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did. I missed the last one over here. Okay, so I missed a bar there, but you get the idea. Okay, you can either just go with what the calculator gives you, or you can make your own. And when you hit trace, that's where you get all the information for the left and right boundaries and for the size of the bars.